This is the keyboard warrior here, and today I'm gonna talk about the best characters in Tekken that you can begin with. Alright, so as you can see, we have a list of 32 characters here, and from that list, there are some who are extremely difficult to play, and some are relatively easy. Today I'm gonna talk about the easy ones you would probably want to use as a beginner. So, yeah. Alright. So let's start off with Claudio. Claudio is a character who's very direct. He's not too difficult to play, not too easy, but a great beginner character nonetheless. His back one is super OP and I would recommend going for him. Zafina is someone who has like one of the best evasive stances in the game. She can literally go under mids. Uh, a, a little complicated character. She's got a very complicated move list. Her setups are really complicated at times. Um, but if you're okay with that, if you're okay with handling a little bit of challenge, then this character is perfect for you to begin with. And also knowledge checks opponents. Yeah. Paul is one of the best characters you can start the game with. The reason being, this guy hits like a truck, okay? Does insane amount of damage, and Paul, uh, introduces you to that sway movement that you would find in plenty of other characters here, like, for example, Leo and Bryan. So that, and also Dragunov. Where is he? Yeah. So if you actually start with Paul, you get to know a lot about the game and how it works. He is a very, strong character to begin with. He has good frames, he has good damage, and he helps you learn the game. So I would recommend Paul for beginners. Raven, well, some aspects of his gameplay is very simple, and some of it is absolutely unga bunga bullshit. And by that I mean you could do random stuff and the opponent won't even know what's hitting them. So if you want to play him, go ahead, but he's not that easy to play as a beginner because of the complicated strings that he might have. Uh, so I wouldn't recommend Raven as for a beginner at least. Same goes with Victor. He's got a lot of tools. This dude comes with a gun and a fist fight. Yeah. So Victor is someone, he's got great range and is someone I wouldn't recommend for a beginner. You need to know, at least have some kind of knowledge about fundamentals before you start off with Victor. The same goes with Reina. She's also new. Victor and Reina, these are new characters. And Reina, she's got just from inputs. She's very complicated. Is probably the female Heihachi, and I wouldn't recommend for a beginner. Azucena, the coffee girl from Peru, yeah. Uh, she's okay for a beginner. She has great evasion stances, and would definitely knowledge check opponents at the lower level. So yeah, good character for a beginner. And she's pretty easy to play. Shaheen, I don't know, man. I didn't even know. This is perhaps the most non-existent character in Tekken 7. I don't know why he's back, but he's pretty boring. He's not so easy, but yeah, he's boring. He's boring. He's got a very direct approach to combat, but I wouldn't recommend just because he's so boring. If you like him, he's good looking. If you like him, can play him, of course. Law is someone I would definitely recommend. Uh, Early in Tekken 7, his Dragon Sign stance. The DSS used to be really difficult to pull off in games, but now they made it easier. And even without the DSS, Law is a great character. He has great frames, he has great moves, and he's perfect for beginners. You can live without DSS at the initial ranks, but when you go up that ladder a bit, you understand why you need the DSS all the time. You need to end your strings with DSS. The reason is you need to always keep that pressure going, and DSS is the best for that. So I would recommend Law. Okay, this guy is scary. I remember when he came out for the first time in Tekken 7. This guy was cracked. Trust me, he had to go through a million nerfs to, and he was still better than most of the characters out there. And in Tekken 8, yeah, he's still that good. And you know what the fun part is? He's easy. So this guy he's super good, and he's easy to play. So recommending Leroy for the beginners. Okay, Leo. I wouldn't recommend Leo for a beginner. You need to have some sort of fundamental knowledge to understand how this character works. He has two stances, and some of the strings could be complicated when you're involving those stances. So yeah, not recommended for beginners, but a great character nonetheless. And he's one of my mains too. Okay, if you want free wins, like doing nothing, free wins, this Panda and Kuma, these are the ones for you. If you love big bears, and if you love pandas, go for it. They're probably the least picked characters in the game, so you would knowledge check the opponent like crazy. They would know what you're up to, and you would, come out as the winner most of the time. So yeah, recommended for beginners. Asuka, one of the easiest characters to play, hands down. She has great tools, she is strong and easy to play. Recommended for beginners. Okay, don't bother playing this character if you're a beginner. One of the hardest characters in the game, so don't bother. She's got tons of moves. She has a lot of stances, and it's easy to get confused if you're a beginner. Wouldn't recommend. Okay, Jin. Jin is he used to be very difficult to play back in Tekken 7, but they have made it easier in Tekken 8. He has got an answer for everything. You could say he's like the most perfect character in the game at the moment. So you could pick him as a beginner, but some aspects of his game are really difficult, like his just frame inputs, the electric, the wind hook fist. So other than that, his game plan is very easy to understand. He could be a complicated character, but if you really wanna, learn the game, Jin could really help you do that. Kazuya, not for beginners. Uh, his only regular launcher is a just frame input, and I wouldn't recommend for a beginner. His execution is tough, so no, not for beginners. Nina, definition of easy to learn, very hard to master. You can start off with Nina, but if you're trying to master her, it will take you a while. I can recommend this for a beginner, but Yeah, I actually can. She has some strings which are brain dead, and anyone can do that. So you wouldn't be having any problems with this character if you're a beginner. Hwoarang, not for beginners. Sorry. A lot of people might disagree. They might say that you just need to spam kicks and you win games. No, that's not what Hwoarang does. Yeah, you can spam kicks, but it's very easy to get stuck in his stances. He's one of my mains, so I know what I'm saying. It's very easy to get stuck in his stances if you're just spamming without knowing what you're doing. So you might get easy wins at the lower levels, but when you go higher, you understand that Hwoarang has tons of weaknesses. He's like a very linear character. Anyone who's good at sidestepping could literally, you know, finish him off in like no time. So I wouldn't recommend Hwoarang for beginners. Combo adjustment with Hwoarang is very tough to do. So I wouldn't recommend him to a beginner. Feng? Yeah, Feng Wei is like the god of poking. If you want to learn the game, if you want to learn the fundamentals, you can pick this character. He's easy and he's got one of the best poking in the game. Yeah, recommended for a beginner. Alright, Yoshi, yeah, probably the coolest looking character in the game, and he even looks better in this Tekken. And you might want to pick him because he looks cool, but I wouldn't recommend for a beginner. Only reason is that he has got tons of mix-ups and setups. Like, if you're playing Yoshi without a plan, you're gonna end up nowhere. That's not how you learn the game. Yoshi is tough, okay? Tough only because of the you know, this character is complicated. There's so much to do with this character that you often get confused while playing. You need to learn the basics of the game first before you could go ahead and start playing Yoshi. Alright, Bryan, nope, not for beginners. Bryan is okay. Let me explain one thing over here. His base game plan is very easy. His base combos, his basic combos are easy. But once you start exploring the character, you understand how difficult this character gets, especially when you include his taunts. His taunt jet upper is perhaps the toughest move in the game. So I wouldn't recommend Bryan to a beginner. Dragunov, again, very honest character. Um, he's got a very good pressure tool, but I wouldn't recommend to a beginner. Again, you need to have a lot of knowledge about fundamentals before you could, you know, play Dragunov. His stance cancel combos could be tough. His basic combos are easy, but uh, I wouldn't recommend to a beginner. Steve, don't bother. One of the toughest characters, perhaps the toughest character in the game at the moment. So just don't bother. He's a boxer. He can't kick. The only kick he has is that down, that poke that he does is really close to you. But other than that, there is no, kicks in his game. And he's got stances. He does not have a regular launcher. And if you are a beginner, this is not a character you want to play with because the rest of the cast does not play like him. He plays completely different from the rest of the cast. The rest of the characters play in a certain way. Steve plays in a certain way. So, okay, so not for beginners. King, I could recommend for a beginner. His basic game plan is super easy. His throws, he's a grappler, and his style is pro wrestling. So if you're fond of WWE and freestyle wrestling, you would want to pick this guy. He's got all the cool moves. So uh, throw breaks are really nerfed in this game, so it's very easy to throw opponents in Tekken 8. So I would recommend King to a beginner. His his base game plan is easy, but he is a complicated character. There's a lot of things you can learn when you start playing King. So yeah, I can recommend. Jack 8. No, lot of he's very good with his pokes, and you need to understand the game really well to play Jack. So again, not someone I would recommend to a beginner, but nah, not for beginners. You need to have good Tekken fundamentals to understand how this character works. Devil Jin, not for beginners. Is almost the same. Like is a mix between Jin and Kazuya. Just frame inputs, difficult execution for his combos. No, not for beginners. Sorry. Jun, yeah, she could be used for a beginner. She has one of the best moveset in the game at the moment, and I would recommend June to a beginner. Alright, Lars, uh, if you're looking for someone who's like super flashy, flies all over the place, jumps like crazy, good looking moves, good looking character, super cool uh, move list, yeah, this is your guy. And he's even stronger in this Tekken. Back in Tekken 7, he wasn't as strong as he is right now. So I would recommend Lars to a beginner. He's super easy to play and super satisfying because of how cool his moveset is. Alisa, okay, she's a robot, and this guy falls in love with this robot. Yeah, it happens in Tekken. For as a character, Alisa is great for a beginner. She's also a very common pick for tournaments, and I would recommend Alisa to a beginner. Although I'm not a huge fan of this character, but she is easy enough for a beginner. Lili, nah, not for beginners. Again, you need to have a lot of Tekken knowledge to play Lili. The the players I have seen who actually play Lili well are really good Tekken players. You need to understand spacing. You need to understand, you know, uh, knowledge about the fundamentals of the game, how it works. You need to have experience to play Lili. Simple as that. Well, that'll be it for this video. I hope you like this video, and please subscribe to the channel. I will be really grateful if you do that. So, thank you so much, and peace out.